folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name's Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Pearson. Thanks for joining us, folks. And Jason, I don't think Facebook loved the title of the show today. I'm looking at some of our numbers here. Folks, if you are on Rumble, please give us a like, please give us a share. And if you're on Facebook and you somehow got through the censorship, welcome aboard.
Yeah, I got to say, Todd and we started a digital marketing business. We do podcasting and stuff, and it's always fun when you pick a title and it's like, I wonder how the algorithms will like it. And Todd and I will talk about, what we want to go over on the show. And this week it's like the communists are taking over. We got videos. We're going to show you their unedited stuff. And you can tell the algorithm doesn't like it. So like Todd said, if they were found on some of the social media platforms that really don't want content like this to go out, do us a favor, hit the like, hit the comment, hit the share button. I got to say, too, nothing makes my heart warmer than seeing Mark before we're even live in there. Francis, we got Wrong Think Fan. Like, we love you guys. This is our favorite time of the week. We get to digest, we get to download with you guys. And there's just so much stuff. Hey, we got K-Gun Girl. The party can start. Todd?
I just got to say, too, Jason. So speaking of the Facebook censorship, isn't this what the left always does? They promote these insane ideas. Like, no doubt Facebook execs and the interns love communism, and they'll go on the streets all day long and profess it. And as soon as we say, like, yeah, communism is here, rather than defend their ideas or celebrate that idea, they run and hide. Like, on every issue Democrats promote, whether it's communism or abortion or free this and free that, they're like, yeah, we want this. And as soon as you start to talk about it, they never defend it. They never get out there and say, here's why this is a good thing. They're just like, how dare you bring this up? How dare you bring up that communism is here and you wanted it here, Facebook?
Right. Well, and I got to say, too, Todd, for people who don't know, Todd spent years in the education system. Todd is far smarter than I am and more educated. Todd, can you explain the difference between socialism and communism?
Well, there is a distinction, Jason, but for the record, when we talk about it on the show, I make no distinction. If I use the word Democrat or socialist or communist or Marxist or progressive, it means the same thing, because we are ultimately moving in the direction of government controls everything, and you will have nothing. You will have no freedom. You will have no money left over. You will be a ward of the state, entirely dependent on it. If you want to get nitpicky here about what percent of the government owns what industries or how much you are allowed to do, I guess you could go down that path, Jason. I don't know. I feel like it's almost a waste of time to make these distinctions, because at the end of the day, the modern Democrat Party hates you. They hate the values this country was founded on. They hate that you have freedom. They hate you that you believe in a God instead of worshiping the state. And so when we talk about a Democrat socialist, or we talk about a communist Muslim that was born in Uganda, or we talk about some Democrat from Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, that boomers love. I've called him a boomer psyop for a long time. He votes with Democrats. I don't care what he says. They're all the same. At the end of the day, they advance the same agenda to the left. So, Jason, sorry, I did not answer your question.
Well, no, and I'll just give the distinction, because it is a difference without a distinction. And Todd is right. If you hear us say socialist, Democrat, communist, it all means the same thing. They're all communists. The specific distinction Democrats try to hang their hat on is a socialist means you have privately owned property, meaning you yourself as an individual own property, and they just tax the hell out of you to redistribute the wealth. There have been over 40 nations in recorded history in the last few hundred years that have tried to be socialist. It has worked 0 times. Every single time what happens is you start going socialist, people stop producing enough, because if you disincentivize people to actually produce and pay taxes or generate excess, then people either give it up or like there isn't enough resources. So then the next step is either move back to the free market, get rid of all this wealth redistribution, or go full on communist. And when it's communist, that's when you have not individual ownership of assets, of property, of that sort of thing. So that's the only distinction between socialist and communist, is you start getting public ownership of different things. And I make that apparent to you guys because as we get into this, we're going to talk about Epstein for just a minute first. But as we get into the communist socialist part, understand when you hear these democratic socialists talk about public ownership or communal ownership of assets, that is communism. Todd, am I factually correct? Well, that whole
You are factually correct on that, Jason. Yeah, difference without a distinction here. But yeah, there is a slight difference here. But at the end of the day, it starts with, like you said, disincentivizing people from buying a home. Why am I going to buy a home if my property taxes are going up $2,000 every year? Eventually, you just price everyone out of the market. So it inevitably leads to that where, okay, I defaulted. Now the government's going to take over here. And as you look at all this affordable housing that they keep talking about, this is communism. Affordable housing. Who owns the apartment buildings? Who owns the homes? The government. Who pays for that? Those of us that produce, but we can't keep producing forever. We move, we stop working, we give up because what's the point? So that's where we're at right now.
That is. But as we get started, though, Todd, should we do a quick stop in Epsteinville?
I think we should take a quick tour to Epsteinville, Jason.
All right. Now, I wanted us to start this out with framing up how big of experts we are on Epstein. And Todd, if you want to pull up our Substack, now we would share the Substack link on some of these platforms, but the stuff we cover on Substack, we aren't able to promote. We don't have ads on any of it. We keep it limited. But if you go to our Substack, theamericantribune.news, Todd, how many articles have we written on Epstein?
All right. Well, I did the Epstein search in our own published articles. You can see titles here: Bill Gates, Epstein, and Epstein's eugenics obsession; the Barr family and Epstein, going back to Billy Barr in the Trump administration 1.0; what we know about Bill Clinton's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein; why the Epstein story still matters; Trump, the one elite who stood up to Epstein and helped his victims; he belonged to intelligence, the most important yet often forgotten; hell by the way of Little St. James; the Podesta emails were never debunked; we have Tara Marr. Jason, that's a lot of Epstein content here. Specifically, though, we have content dating back to August 16th of 2023 about Donald Trump and the debunked narrative of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I make this distinction because myself, Todd, our business partner, Will, Mike, we have been Epstein savants since Epstein first came on the scene, since he was first arrested. When we launched our Substack, and understand this content we make over there, we don't make a dime on unless somebody's paid subscriber, and we leave all that content free. Each one of these are heavily researched papers, linked to court documents. We have, I mean, like you're talking 10,000 word articles, all the things. So we are pretty big experts on Epstein, which is so frustrating because people that come late to the game are like, oh, let me tell you about Epstein, blah, blah. And it's like, bro, we are pretty well versed in this. Todd and I think I don't want to speak for Todd, but we think there was something awful that happened to people that Jeffrey Epstein was connected to. We also think there are very powerful people that were connected, and we are not going to see justice. It's become evident how Trump has handled it. There are people more powerful than the president of the United States, as terrifying as that is, and it's not going to be resolved. Now, with that, Todd, did I state your position fairly accurately too?
You did. And I would just add, Jason, so in addition to all the extensively researched articles, every single one of these articles, I believe, has at least 20 citations at the bottom. You can click on all the resources that were used to cite the information we shared. But then I would also offer this as well, Jason. If Donald Trump's name were connected to Jeffrey Epstein, if he was on the island, on the plane, involved with Epstein's activities there, wouldn't we know about it by now? Would Democrats really sit on that information after he is basically, he's out, he can't run for election again? They sat on 3 election cycles, this damning information. They made up everything under the sun about Donald Trump. And the one thing they didn't do was release a photograph of Trump or release an email or release a connection to Epstein. You mean to tell me that they sat on the most damning information possible for 3 election cycles? That's how I know he's not on the list.
Right. We also know he's not on the list because we've seen every piece of public information. We are aware of how he was responsible partially for getting Epstein prosecuted the first time. Epstein got off light the first time. Draw your conclusions from that. But Democrats have revived the Epstein hoax. Donald Trump calls it a hoax, and I think that is an apt description. The reason is neither Democrats nor Republicans nor Department of Justice is going to hold these monsters that were clients of Epstein's responsible. And there are problems, sadly, that are bigger than the president of the United States, and that's not going to happen. So living in that reality, take a deep breath, let it flow through you like, holy cow, that sucks. But also, Democrats are trying to use it as a cudgel against President Trump. And this week, two things came out that were, shocking revelations. The first was an email that said Donald Trump knew about Epstein, and Todd's probably pulling it up. It was a Democrat hoax. They released it and they redacted the name on it. Now, Todd, as the one that did the research, what was that email and when did that come out?
I'm trying to pull up the email so our audience can see it as well here. The one thing we didn't have ready.
Oh, yeah, we try to get ready. We don't have to talk to our producer. Well, and so anyways, Todd will pull that up. Virginia, I'll get her last name wrong, Go File. Democrats pulled out an email that, and Todd will pull it up so we can report exactly what it said. They were making it sound like, this is a big deal. When reality, this email was public in a court case in 2024, January 2024, I believe. It was a 2011 email talking about Trump and his hanging out with Epstein. And Virginia, the author of the email, before her untimely demise, make of that with what you will, she has come out publicly as a Trump supporter and saying Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. None of these things, Donald Trump is not associated with it. She has completely debunked this letter. This letter has been public for over almost 2 years. Democrats are throwing it out, going, look at this email. We got this from the Epstein, whatever, from their public or private emails. Anybody pushing this hoax is either stupid or complicit. And by that, I mean they are stupid because they don't even know that the author of the email has completely debunked Donald Trump being involved. And the second thing, they could be complicit. They could know it, and they're sharing that anyways. Todd, did I miss any facts about hoax number one?
Well, I think we have to really stress this part right here. Yeah, and I don't know how to pronounce her last name. We're really bad with names on the show here. But Virginia Giuffre died by suicide, Jason. Do you remember she went for a hike? Was she hiking in Arizona, I think? So she goes off on this lone hike into the wilderness, and she just ends it all there, Jason. We're supposed to believe that one of the most outspoken critics, voices, alleged victims of the entire Epstein scandal here, the most public one at least, that connected to Prince Andrew, she just happens to off herself right as this gains more prominence, more traction. But she is the one, again, the one person now too that is coming out said that no, Donald Trump did not partake. Let's get down to that quote as well. Did not partake in that, said Donald Trump never made advances on her. She has now retracted testimony earlier that said Trump and Epstein were together. The one person that was outspoken about that, vindicating Donald Trump, just happens to die.
Draw from that one conclusion you will, but the more relevant thing is this email came out. Democrats are trying to make a thing about it. This has been debunked. Anybody sharing it, Charles hits the nail on the head. It is crap. The second thing that came out, and we should have prepped this too. There was an email that came out between Jeffrey Epstein and an associate that said, "What are you doing on Thanksgiving?" Epstein says, "Well, I'm doing this thing." And he goes, "Oh, cool. Is that fun? And who's going to be there?" And Epstein starts going through a list. And he's like, "Well, those people aren't fun. Anybody else going to be there?" And he lists off a few more names, Donald Trump being one of them. Or he just said Trump. You don't know for sure, but you can assume it's Donald Trump. This email came out. This was in 2017 when Donald Trump was freaking president of the United States. Every movement he tracked, every movement he did was with him. He was followed by gaggles of reporters. And even if you read the email, Jeffrey Epstein, who at this point was a private citizen mega donor was going to be at a public event with Donald Trump attending in 2017. The left wants to frame it up like, oh, they're hanging out carving a turkey together. Anybody reporting on this and not telling you the truth, you should unfollow them. They are either horribly uninformed or they are intentionally sowing distrust and going, oh no, Trump, what's he doing? Blah, blah, blah. This is the most, I just get mad thinking about this, Todd.
Yeah, and I told you the story yesterday as these emails were getting exposed on TV here. I'm at the gym, I'm doing my thing, I look up at the screen, and here's some local media program talking about Donald Trump's name is in an email with Jeffrey Epstein. And all of the low IQ, the people that drive alone in their car with masks, seeking out their next booster shot, waiting to be told what to think on a given day, they're like, oh man, Donald Trump's name was in an email from Jeffrey Epstein? That's it. He must be complicit in these activities. Never mind the fact that, and Jason, we haven't even talked about this yet, all of the outrage about the Epstein list and the emails in Trump's name. The Democrats had the White House, they had the Senate, they had the House for 2 full years under Biden's administration. They were still in power for 4 years. They could have released it at any time. Audience, Jason, I'm going to ask a question. How many times did you hear Democrats mention the Epstein list and releasing the Epstein list when Joe Biden was in the White House?
0.
0 times. Isn't that strange, Jason? Isn't that strange that the champions of these poor victims are so concerned about it when they had nothing on record to show that they cared for the last 4 years?
Yeah. And we should pull up that tweet too, because this pretty much sums it up. And we're going to get ready to put a pin in Epstein. But I've been mad about this all week because I see such horrible, idiotic takes on this that it just makes me mad. So I saw this tweet today or this morning. I think it came out yesterday, had 20,000 likes. And I would like, and if you read the comments, they were even stupider. So this person with not a big following, like how much reach did that tweet get?
So
like if you
under 30,000 followers, but got
29,000 followers, 1.7 million. You're up to 35,000 likes. Okay. Now scroll up to the tweet. The Epstein files were under seal during the Biden administration due to Maxwell's trial. No one had access. Anybody with any information about what's in him would be putting that trial in jeopardy to make it a mistrial. If people understand our system of justice actually works, they would save their time and energy on these nonsensical takes. Oh my God, Todd. Like 2 million people have seen this. 35,000 people like it. Go, yeah, way to go, Nicole. Todd, do you know when Giselle Maxwell was convicted?
If memory serves me correct, it was mid-2022. I could be wrong about that.
No, mid-2021.
21.
Yeah, and do you know when she was sentenced?
She was sentenced in 2022, right?
Sentenced in 2022.
Okay, there it is.
So Nicole's tweet is the most idiotic, brain-dead thing I've ever heard. Anybody with Google, those 35,000 people that like that tweet, do you guys not have Google? Can you not like draw any intuitive conclusion and go, God, her trial was over in 21. She was sentenced in 22. Like Biden was president till 24. That's like 2.5 years. And these are the like people who believe this garbage vote. And then even people on our side will be like, oh yeah, you know, she brings up a good point. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys. And that is not justifying Donald Trump, not prosecuting, not going after him. And like I say, the only conclusion I can draw is there are people more powerful than the president of the United States. But this is just ridiculous. Yeah, Francis, it is kabuki theater. It's ridiculous. So when you see Democrats going out tweeting all this Epstein nonsense, if there's something new, we'll be glad to let you know. This has been covered. This dead horse has been kicked. There is no there. And anybody who's talking about, oh, Epstein and the hoax or whatever, they are not helping the cause. They are not moving the needle. They're only helping Democrats, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
And I just love this too. if people understood how the justice system actually works. Is that the same justice system that weaponized against Donald Trump, that had Fannie Willis in Georgia, Letitia James in New York, like that justice system that's totally fair and operates by every written rule and conduct of law here? That justice system? Okay.
That's when they're
all
talking
right,
about.
Nicole.
All the 95 charges Donald Trump went after, and the 100 Trump associates that got arrested and prosecuted, and the 2,500 people on January 6th. Yeah, that was all valid. But Donald Trump going after Eric Swalwell for mortgage fraud, which that's kind of a fun story. Like all of a sudden that's like weaponizing the justice system. I will say, though, the media is taking notice because Donald Trump has sued like 10 media organizations. And it just came out this week. The BBC, it is government funded in Britain. They actually admitted to doctoring a January 6th video. They took 2 quotes or 3 quotes that were from like more than like 30 minutes apart, spliced them together to make it look like Donald Trump said, let's go storm the Capitol. And they are scrambling because somebody leaked communication where they're admitting like, yeah, this is kind of doctored and this isn't saying it. And the BBC is panicked.
Well, and Jason, I thought it would be fun here. I'm at the BBC website right now as they're covering their own lawsuit, their pending litigation here. Just again, you covered it perfectly here, but in a memo, former independent external advisor of the BBC's editorial standards committee raised concerns that a section of the speech had been edited in a way which suggested the president explicitly encouraged the Capitol riot of January 2021. Trump actually said, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. However, in the edit, 2 sections of the speech more than 50 minutes apart were spliced together. He was shown saying, we're going to walk down to the Capitol and I'll be there with you and we fight like hell.
And what's fascinating, if you see this story on any like social media and you read the comments, like people are like, wait a second, that wasn't what happened. And it's insane. Like we just showed you 35,000 people like this idiot's tweet that doesn't even factually make sense. Like Giselle's trial done 2022. Like Biden had 2.5 years. On this, you have people, you show them that the BBC that is funded by the British government is lying and splicing and make it say something it doesn't. And it just drives me nuts.
And I mean, this is par for the course here. The Fine People hoax, the J6 hoax. Isn't it weird, Jason, how in order to advance a narrative about Donald Trump, they have to just so blatantly lie. And then even more recently here, about the ballroom, we showed that clip, I think, a week or 2 ago. The ballroom was his top priority. They have to lie. This is the only thing they have. They have horrible policies. Those policies lead to horrible outcomes here. And they can only convince half this country to vote against their own best interest by lying so obviously about Donald Trump.
Right. BBC. I'll let you.
Paul's over there in the Rumble chat saying, is the BBC an official news source? That's what I asked to see if someone is liberal. Yeah. Is CNN, is MSNBC, is the BBC, are they trustworthy news sources? Anything other than just a strongly worded no. And I know who I'm dealing with here.
Right. Now we should play the CNN clip too, because this is great.
All right.
So if you need a little bit of like things are getting a little brighter. CNN now, when they talk about Epstein, they have this disclaimer. Francis, you are so right.
That is why voting should be way harder. Yes.
Oh my God. And I see some of these tweets, and some of these are people I know and like, even people on the right who are like, oh yeah, this Epstein stuff. Oh, geez, Donald Trump. And I'm like, why are you not debunking an obviously easily debunked narrative? Like, that's why you're on our side, to debunk these narratives, not feed into the narratives, and like nobody likes it. Nobody's going to jail. But anyways, every time CNN talks about Epstein, this is what they have to read so they don't get sued.
That mentioned the president. And we do want to be clear, the president, Trump, did not receive or send any of the messages, which largely predated his time as president. He's not been accused of any criminal.
I think that's she kind of brushes over that there in this HR read, but she said he did not send or receive anything. I don't know about you, Jason. That seems like a pretty critical factor in this entire story. You're telling me he never got any communications and he's somehow supposed to be involving himself in this? So.
wrongdoing in connection with Epstein or Maxwell. The White House.
So I got to say, these mainstream news sources, like, okay. Donald Trump didn't have any communication, anything to do with these guys. Donald Trump was going to be at the same public event that Epstein was going to go to. And now CNN is going to talk for like 5 hours about all of the Epstein stuff, what he's doing. It is just so idiotic. And CNN's doing this because Donald Trump keeps suing people for lying. I hope he puts all the media out of business for spreading this propaganda.
Yeah, I'm going to say something else too, Jason. But a little good morning to Fally over there as the Rumble community gets in. And Jason, I am still looking at our numbers here. Facebook doesn't like communism, Epstein. They support all these things, but they don't want you to talk about it still, apparently. When it comes to, I lost my train of thought now, Jason. I was going to go on a rant about Facebook for a second.
Well, it's funny, and we should probably get to what we were talking about, where Democrats, while all this Epstein stuff's going on, and like I say, I apologize to our audience. I know we're all sick of Epstein. I just am so mad that people are stupid enough to fall for it, and even some people on our side are stupid enough to keep falling for this. And once again, when Donald Trump says it's a hoax, he is telling you nobody's going to be prosecuted. You can be mad that nobody's going to be prosecuted. You can maybe wish he would have picked a different phrase. But all this nonsense that Democrats are doing, they're pulling out emails from years ago that have already been debunked, and they're throwing them out. It just makes me mad, Todd.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this about all the grifters on the right, because there is no shortage of grifters. We've had a lot of people exposed for not being MAGA, not being America First, just collecting their paychecks from around the world. I understand the visceral reaction to wanting this list released. I understand wanting justice for victims. I understand wanting justice for the perpetrators. And by justice, I mean use your imagination for what I want done with them and all these elite fools. At the same time, we all have to accept this list is not coming out. And as it relates to the topic of the show today, we have other battles to fight. The Epstein list getting released or not is not the hill I'm going to die on. It's fighting the communists in this country. That's the hill I am willing to die on here. The Epstein list is a major issue, but also a major distraction now. Now we're fighting about amongst ourselves, talking about the Epstein list. It's never coming out. We're just rehashing the same ideas here. Meanwhile, Jason, Seattle, New York City, Minneapolis was really close. New Jersey and Virginia elect these Democrat governors. There are big problems facing Americans' everyday lives. So we can debate the Epstein list here. This is important to talk about. But let's also live in reality. And when I say live in reality, it means we have to fight the communists.
Yes, and that is what we wanted to get into. Hey, before we do that, Todd, we're not really good at doing plugs. We talk about Split Rock Coffee, splitrockcoffee.com, promo code Todd10. But we wanted to share some good news, too, because we started marketing Gold Co., like when we started the podcast. And on the bottom of the Chiron, you'll see handsoffmywealth.com when we talk about buying gold and silver. I have shared on the podcast that I collect these silver dollars. They were an ounce of silver. And ironically, for those who haven't followed the precious metal market, like this is how long is that, a year?
I think I did a 6-month chart here. If we go a year, it's even more impressive.
Silver's gone from $30 an ounce to over $50 an ounce. So if you were an early adopter of the Freedom from the Press podcast, you went off to handsoffmywealth.com, you got some silver, your money's gone up like 70%. And gold, if you got gold has gone through the roof, like super good news. And I know a lot of our viewers buy gold, silver, they diversify their portfolio. But Todd, isn't that good news?
This is a glimmer of hope in an otherwise kind of down world right now. And full disclosure, I mean, Jason and I, we invest in precious metals. I had to buy a safe because I was running out of drawers to put my coins in. Jason, I let my kids play with my, I got these copper 1 ounce rounds. I got a bunch of silver 1 ounce rounds. I made the mistake of letting them look at my gold 1 ounce rounds one time here. And I was like, oh God, please don't lose this. But my kids love precious metals. They have these little cash registers. And most kids have fake money inside. They're fake little dollar bills, maybe some fake plastic pennies. No, my kids have real silver rounds and copper rounds to run their stores. We love precious metals. I buy this consistently. So Jason and I are not just plugging Goldco, plugging handsoffmywealth.com. We're real believers in this. Like this, I need a bigger safe almost, Jason. That's how much of a believer I am in precious metals. And right now it looks like a good decision.
Yeah, and I got to say, shout out to Hutch Bailey Jr. I know Paul does Cold War Radio with him on Fridays. Hutch Bailey, because I was investing a lot in gold. And, I'm a big, like, diversifier portfolio. But Hutch said something once, like 3 years ago on a show. He's like, what you need silver. Because gold and silver will go up at the same pace. But if things ever hit the fan, good luck trading a gold bar for, like, bread. Like it'll be worth too much, but you can trade silver. So I'm like, I'm going to shift, and instead of buying so much gold, I'm going to buy a bunch of silver, and every year, like, it's kind of like a retirement thing. I invest money in it. And like, that was really good advice from Hutch. And like, and silver, you can buy a sleeve of silver. It's not that expensive. Now it's $50 for an ounce of silver. So yeah, it's kind of cool. We like it.
Well, and your silver, Jason, it has gone up 57% in the last 6 months. Gold has gone up 28%. So your silver was a wise investment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We like making money. But back to that, do we go to Seattle or do we go to New York?
Yeah, I want to go to Seattle, Jason, only because this race flew under the radar. The St. Paul, Minnesota race where we elected an illegal immigrant to be our mayor in St. Paul, I had no idea that was happening because you were talking about Mamdani, you were talking about Fatah in Minneapolis here. I had no idea Seattle was electing like their own version of Fetterman, who lived with his parents, lived entirely off of parental donations and financial support. And this woman has never had a job. She, her parents pay for her daycare. I don't think her husband works. She ran on a communist platform, and she's in her 40s. Just a loser all around, and she gets elected mayor in Seattle. I don't think the country knew about this one.
No, this is funny. After the election, I was digging into some of these smaller races, like the one in St. Paul where they elected the gal that said I'm an illegal immigrant. Like, that was funny. And we get distracted. And that's why not getting too lost on things like Epstein and that are important. But this woman, just to clarify, because I was looking into her because I saw somebody get fact checked for saying she was unemployed or whatnot, living in her basement. 40 years old. She has basically had jobs like Starbucks barista her entire life. So she did work. So anybody saying she didn't work is getting fact checked. And then the last couple years, she is running a socialist nonprofit and that she was the director of. So why is it always these folks that never made anything, that never did anything? Like, I'm going to start a nonprofit fighting for the workers. And then she runs for mayor of Seattle, which Seattle had a farthest left insane person you've ever seen as mayor. And then they elect her. This woman, we've got like 3 clips. This is astounding.
Can I just ask, Jason, where do NGOs get their money from?
Government.
Weird.
Yeah, funny.
She runs a socialist NGO. It seems redundant almost.
Right.
All right. Well, should we listen to her promises? I think Seattle is going to turn out really well, Jason. Maybe we could look to move there in a couple of years once her policies turn out so well.
Yeah.
There is an awful lot that I want to accomplish as mayor. I want everyone in this great city of ours to have a roof over their head. I want universal childcare and free K-8 summer care. I want world-class mass transit. I want great, safe public spaces where kids can run around with abandon. I want stable, affordable housing for renters. I want social housing. I want much more land and wealth to be owned and stewarded by communities instead of corporations. I want a robust economy with thriving small businesses, great living wage jobs, and strong rights for workers. I want a city where everyone has the basics of a dignified life, including healthy food, access to health care, and supportive communities. I want a city where your health and your life expectancy and your children's future doesn't depend on your zip code or your race. I believe that I will be stepping into office with a strong mandate to pursue this vision. I believe it is notable that all of that money focused on attacking me, but not my vision or platform. And that is because this vision and platform are supported by an overwhelming majority of Seattle residents, as demonstrated by the resounding victories of the other progressive candidates running for office in Seattle this year.
Well, I'm sold. I am sold.
I got to say, Francis, prayers for you.
Yeah.
Francis.
I didn't know you lived in Seattle, Francis. My goodness. I thought Minneapolis was bad, but Seattle takes the cake.
I got to see when you hear those things, and that's why we started early on talking about socialism, communism. The only difference is in socialism, you still get private ownership of property. Notice how she kept saying, like, community ownership, community this. Who the hell do you think the community is? The community is the government. Like she is not even hiding the fact that she is pushing communist ideals. And shout out to Keith. Who's going to pay for all this? Exactly. Like we're going to tax the billionaires. There isn't enough billionaires to tax to make all this stuff happening. And notice how there is no responsibility for she's not saying we are going to create an opportunity for you to work hard, contribute to society, and do things. She's saying we're going to make sure all of your needs are met. And who's we? It is insane.
Yeah, Fally, kind of to your point, Jason, she sure wants a lot. Hey, I know, tell everyone to get a job to support themselves. The one thing she never talked about in there, and Jason, I got to be honest here, I agree with what she says. I want these people to have dignity in their life. I want them to have a roof over their head. I want them to have whatever she talked about, the ability for kids to go play outside. Like, yes, I do want those things too. But it turns out if you're a communist, the government will provide for all that on paper. And then in practice, I don't know about you, Jason, I've seen a lot of these Democrat-run cities. Seems like those are the last places you want kids to run around freely, lest they have a stray bullet graze their head, lest a violent illegal pedo come over and swoop and grab them from their car here. Sure seems like the things that they want when they implement their policies have the opposite effect.
Yeah, and it's fascinating that the one line where she's like, safe communities, like you're not going to prosecute.
So no cashless bail, no jail, prison reform, putting all the bad guys back on the streets. That'll do it. You know what? You know what'll make safe streets? More criminals.
More criminals, more criminals on the street. It is insane. Like, I don't know, like when somebody hears this talk, it's like, I want everybody to have a unicorn and be a princess and this and that. Who's going to do it? And it was funny. I was having a conversation and I tried out the line with a friend/family member that was like, oh, you guys have it so good. You have a nice house and a nice car and health insurance and this and that. And that's what we want. And I'm like, you know what you want? You want every single thing I have but my job. Do you want my job? Like, do you want me to show you how I do what I do for a living? Like, you want all the stuff. You want comfortable living. You want to have health care. You want all of it but my job. And that is communism, socialism. It is insane.
Just insane. Yeah, Fally, I saw a lot of memes making this point here. Has anyone noticed that when the government shut down, they can cut you off from food and lodging? Yeah. How did that government communism go when there was no government? And Jason, we haven't even talked about the shutdown getting resolved here. I got a lot of thoughts on that here. But yes, when you are dependent on the government, just as much as they can give you something, can also take it away. But that's too much. That's too much for these communists to think about here.
Right. And we got Mark over there dropping the R word. Okay, so just so you guys know, new viewers to the podcast, we do an hour on the YouTube, on the Facebook. We love you guys. We appreciate you. You know, do us a favor, especially today, share the show, hit the share button, because Facebook does not like when you talk about communism. But we also go on the Twitter and my favorite on the Rumble. The Rumble has our best community. The reason is we can use words like the R word without getting strikes. So after the first hour, we do another half hour. It ends up being about 45 minutes usually over on the Rumble. Go to the rumble.com. It's just like YouTube, only they allow free speech. And I got to say, the group over there is just super fun. We love those.
We can't read Ben's comment either on Facebook right now.
Yes, but Ben, you are 1000% correct.
All right.
Now,
can I just do 30 seconds of education here?
Yes.
I don't know why we have to debunk these ideas. I honestly don't know why these ideas are still like held in favor by anybody. Free housing. Do we honestly have to talk about what happens to the free housing when the vagrants move in? Are any of these free housing complexes left after a year of drug use, and nobody cares. They're not invested in the property. Garbage strewn everywhere, 20 people in a room. Free housing turns into a disaster, and it looks just like the streets, except these people now have a roof over their head, and I'm somehow supposed to feel better about that. Nothing changes. Nothing in their life changes. These people are still abusers. They are still mentally unwell. Their situation is not better. They don't have any motivation to go get a job or improve their station in life. They just now have a couch to inject on instead of a bridge underpass. Nothing changes when it comes to homelessness housing. We don't have a homeless situation. We have a drug addiction situation. Giving the homeless homes doesn't solve anything. When it comes to childcare, for example, we want free childcare now, K through 8 summer camp or whatever she talked about there. What do they think is going to happen to the kids there? All they're doing is promoting less time with your kids, more time with the state. Run that experiment through. Let's see what's going to happen to my kids the more time they spend with these woke communist teachers in these government indoctrination centers. 9 months is bad enough. I don't know why anyone sends their kid to public school, but 3 summer months as well. Have we thought about putting these kids outside in a park under parental supervision? Like, Jason, every single thing she talked about sounds great. I want that too, but it's the exact opposite way to achieve that.
Right. Yeah. It's fascinating. You said something really powerful, which is, why are we still having debunk that communism, socialism is bad? Like, I thought after what happened with Mao in China, what happened in the USSR, it was kind of like when they proved the earth was round, where there was a time in the world where people thought the earth was flat and the earth was the center of the universe. That got disproven. That's not true. And now anybody that thinks the earth is flat or the earth is the center of the universe, like, people look at them like, okay, you're special. Like, let's keep you away from sharp objects. Why are we having this conversation about socialism? And you know why, Todd? It'll be a fun experiment for you. If you interact with one of these young socialists, just go up to them and go, hey, what do you know about Hitler? They will go on about every fact about Hitler, the experiments he ran, all the horrible things. And they'll be happy to tell you Donald Trump's Hitler. And if you go, okay, what do you know about Mao? Mao led the communist revolution, socialist into communist revolution in China. It was responsible for over 2 times as many deaths as Hitler. There was famine. It was horrible. It was the single largest atrocity led in modern history, in recorded history. And if you ask that same person who knows everything about Hitler, they don't even know who Mao is. They're just standing there with their socialist shirt and go, yeah, Mao who? Right. Todd, did I miss anything about Mao? I mean, we got to be careful.
I got to fact check you. So what? The numbers are 6 million Jews, 12 million total, I think, during the Holocaust, if we're going to go with those numbers here. Mao, by conservative estimates, was 60 million, upwards of 100 million. The Holodomor alone in Ukraine, led by Joseph Stalin, and by the way, the New York Times won a Pulitzer Prize for lying about what was happening in Ukraine in the 1930s with the Holodomor. 5 to 6 million Ukrainians starved to death just in that event alone. So if we're talking about the Jews and 6 million, nobody can tell you about the 5 to 6 million Ukrainians that starved to death explicitly because of communism. But you're 100% correct. I taught middle school history and social studies, Jason. I remember we read Elie Wiesel's Night. We talked about the Holocaust for like 2 weeks, just the Holocaust. And then we were like, and then, by the way, Joseph Stalin was in the Soviet Union. He got like a paragraph. So, it is not an accident. And of course, as we send kids to these summer programs that this insane lady wants, you're only going to get more of that. Like, why do kids believe in socialism? Because the socialist government and the institutions that instruct them reinforce these ideas of how great socialism is, often by omission as well. But yes, fascinating experiment. These kids could tell you nothing about Mao and Pol Pot and Che. They think Che is great. They're going to wear a T-shirt about Che. Never mind the fact that he went out there and just brutalized and murdered countless people during the Cuban Revolution.
Yeah, and Susie reads, I'm afraid this is going to grow with Sanders' squad. Warren Jeffries' mouths are so much bigger and louder. All people hear is free. We can thank our education system for this. Yeah, this is 100% true. Now, can we play the second clip from this Yahoo?
Oh, is this when she's speaking at Starbucks? Is this one?
No, there was the grocery store one where she was talking about grocery stores. She actually laid out her plan for what she was going to do. I think it's, oh no, where was it?
I don't know if you dropped that one for me. Producer, here we can
Oh
find
my gosh, it was probably my fault. Oh, here it is. It's the I dropped it yesterday. It's in the Discord.
Oh, I got it here.
All
With
right,
all the
give
yellow
us a
signs
sec.
behind her.
What's that?
All the yellow signs behind her.
Yeah.
All right, here
Yeah,
we go.
so this clip is funny because
Access to-
you're going to get to hear her explain the food part of her agenda. And remember, when we talk socialism, communism, the only distinction is public ownership of the asset. So let's pay attention and let's listen to her.
Affordable, healthy food is a basic right. We cannot allow giant grocery chains to stomp all over our communities, close stores at will, and leave behind food deserts. Together we can build a Seattle where fresh food is for everyone, not just for those who can afford it. Food deserts are not natural. Corporations create them when they abandon our communities. As mayor, I'm excited to step up and with UFCW explore public option grocery stores to fill those gaps.
I have so much to say, Jason.
Go ahead.
All right, let me tell a story first, and I then I'll get to the video here. When I was in Brooklyn Center as the assistant principal in 2021, that was at the height of when Derek Chauvin was in trial. That's when a young man who tried to flee from a con, Dante Wright, was accidentally shot when the female cop Kim Potter tried to tase him. Turns out she would have been justified in killing him on the spot, but then she things went out of hand. So Dante Wright is killed. I'm in Brooklyn Center. This happens right down the street from the high school. They shut us down for 2 weeks. And so because this is peak DEI, peak wokeness, we're like, we need to feed our families because the community is not safe because the community is rioting and burning down its own buildings. So kind of a problem they created. So the school district goes out and raises a bunch of money, gets a bunch of donations for food. Instead of having school every day, I am charged with going to this big distribution center we set up at the high school, and we hand out food to families. And so, Jason, the story is we offered a bunch of free food to families that did or did not need it. People just learned about it, and they were driving in from all over the Twin Cities to get like the free formula and diapers. And we saw the same people, I kid you not, 6 or 7 times in the same day. These people would go in line in the morning, go home and drop it off, change clothes, and come back. And all of these black women, just Kamala Harris supporters to the max, I'll just say. And they were mad. They're like, Todd, I keep seeing the same people. I'm outraged that they're abusing the system. And I'm just like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, how can you be setting this up to offer stuff to the community and then be mad, A, when the community uses it? Maybe they need all that. I don't know. But then you didn't think it would get abused? Like, really? Free stuff that you're handing out with no accountability, and you're shocked that it's getting abused? What is wrong with you? So yes, this will happen in the clip here. Of course it'll get abused. People will go in and grab more than they need. They will steal. Is it all free? Like, is all the food free? What's going to be the check? How much you put in a grocery cart, 2 grocery carts, come back 5 times a day? I see this scenario playing out and just exponentially worse scale here. But then I want to go back to what she said right away even.
Access to affordable, healthy food is a basic right.
We have to talk about what a human right is. A human right stops when it requires someone else's time, labor, or resources. Who is producing the food? Who is shipping the food? Who is handling the food, setting it up in the store? Who is checking you out in the store? A lot of time, labor, resources, and money goes into producing and getting you food. Ergo, it is already not a human right. So she can't even get out of the gate in the first 2 seconds here, and she's already wrong about everything. It is not a right to food. You have a right to maybe go work, establish yourself, pay for the food, have access to the food. But no, just inherently, this is not a right. And then she talks about
chains to stomp all over our community.
Food deserts, Jason. Do you know what makes food deserts? I'll go back to Brooklyn Center, and you have your Walmart story. When I was in Brooklyn Center, they closed down the Target. Now they're closing down their own Walmart here because it turns out in these communities run by Democrats, people steal a lot. They feel entitled to things for free. And then these corporations, not out of greed, but out of survival, say, I can't afford to operate a store because you're stealing from me. Here's a plan. If you don't want a food desert, stop stealing from these stores. All right, I'll turn it over to you for a second, Jason.
I love when Todd gets fired up because sometimes I just get so mad. I ramble. I love what Todd does. This food desert conversation is really a fascinating one for me because before I became a digital marketer, I spent my first 30 years in retail. I was a multi-unit retail managers and in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, St. Paul, if you were in the inner city, or the urban areas, it was just totally unprofitable to run a store. There was too much crime. There's too much shoplifting. The stores would just get trashed by people not taking any pride in the store. It was really hard to hire. They had these ridiculous minimum wage requirements, and you just literally couldn't profitably run a store, which actually this will lead to our next story where we got to touch on the Starbucks thing because it's just comical. Hey, Seattle's getting rolled today. I'm sorry. It was a Francis living there. Like, I am so sorry. We are rolling your town. We roll Minnesota a lot, but we got to roll Seattle because I went down the Seattle rabbit hole and I'm like, this is just goes more and more and more stupid. When I'm on Rumble, I'll use a different word.
Yeah.
And
so
in the end,
Edward makes the point here. I think it's important to dispel this myth as well. Edward, thanks for finding us on Facebook. We have massive censorship issues today over on Zuckerberg's platform. He says they're going to learn the hard way. This is a tough pill to swallow, Jason. I think we need to accept that nobody's going to learn from this. There's no learning from communist mistakes here. Our business partner, Will Tanner, has made the point that over in Rhodesia in South Africa, nobody learned. You have all these white libs over there, their version of white libs, that still support the ANC, still support the party that chants kill the Boer. In America here, no amount of communism is going to wake people up. And this is hard to swallow. You're like, well, everyone's rational. I'm rational. Won't they look at communist policies and be like, gosh, grocery stores are empty now. There's no food on the shelves. Gosh, there's a lot of crime on the street. My life is worse. Maybe I won't be a communist anymore. But people don't operate that way. The people voting for communism are gone. They're lost. There is no ability to think. If they could think, they already wouldn't have voted for communism. So there will be no learning from mistakes. It will only get worse, and they're going to drag us down with them. That's why communism has to be defeated. You can't let it get a foothold because, again, there's no learning from mistakes. This woman right here, Katie Wilson, and everyone holding a sign behind her, they're in it for the long haul. This is their religion. Just like you believe Christ died on the cross for your sins, these people believe and will to their grave that communism can work if they only keep trying it a little bit harder.
Yeah, I like to phrase it when the socialism fails because their policies are idiotic and like they aren't even logical, like they're just all emotional. That their answer won't be like, maybe let's try capitalism, let's discover Christianity or whatever. It's going to be we need to communism harder. Yep. And like Todd said, that is a very hard thing. It's a very hard pill to swallow for us because we're like, we think that it's like your kids, like, oh, they're going to touch stone, go, whoa, that's hot. No, they're going to touch, go, oh, that's hot. Oh, God, that's really hot. Whoa, I'm burning my hand. That's what's going to happen. This woman will fail. Her response, the response will be, we need to do it harder. And we should the last point too before we go to the next video, notice how she says we're going to require corporations not to leave. Like, how are you going to do that? And then you say we're going to get city run grocery stores. I mean, remember earlier when we were talking about the difference between socialism and communism? Communism is owning the, owning the assets. A city-run grocery store, are you connecting the dots? In the earlier video, she talked about community-owned housing. The community's the government. These are communists. Let's play that Starbucks video.
Well, and Jason, too, I don't want to belabor this point here. Grocery stores run at a minimal profit margin anyways. You could look at Walmart and be like, gosh, Walmart made $5 trillion, whatever they make here. And then you're like, oh, wait, Walmart's expenses were $4.99 trillion here. Grocery stores barely make any money, and they have a profit motive. Do you think a government-run grocery store where theft will be out of control, means of production are non-existent, like they will lose so much money, the store shelves will be empty, the government will be forking over money, asking for more tax dollars to fill in the gap from all the money that they've lost running these stores here. But yeah, to your point here, these people will say communism be harder next time, Daddy. She will blame, I'm going to say it right now, Jason. She's going to say we have to keep educating people. The reason it failed is because we have Trump supporters, Trump voters that don't know how good communism can be. And they have this built-in defense mechanism. Communism never will work until the last person on earth that rejects it dies. And even then, it'll still fail with all the devout believers. But so long as there is a Donald Trump voter out there, they'll say, look, we had opposition. We weren't able to fulfill our mission because roadblocks and obstruction and this and that. Like, they will always blame us for their reasons they fail. And that's why I said, too, they'll never learn from their mistakes. They'll just keep castigating and blaming you more.
Yeah, Mark had a good quote, too. Communism me harder, daddy. Like, we almost need that on a T-shirt. But what would be funny is Democrats would buy it, and they would think, like, oh, that's a great shirt.
All right, we got to get to Starbucks here.
Oh, my God, this is so stupid.
What do we want? The contract. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? The contract. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? The contract. When do we want?
We need to be paid more. It's ridiculous, like what we have to go through
I'm not going to say it on Facebook.
as workers. We're telling Starbucks that they need to invest in us and they need to come back to the bargaining table so we can get a contract and we can be back at work.
Starbucks wages. Union busting.
What's outrageous?
Starbucks wages.
All right, now, I found this clip. I feel so bad for Francis. Like, I went down the Seattle rabbit hole, and I'm like, man, like, we have it bad in Minnesota, which we'll get to the Minnesota Socialist here, probably in the Rumble only. And I started looking at this, and I saw she was supporting the strike. Now, first, I want to say, if you were ever going to start a business, I don't know if there would be an easier or cheaper business to start than a coffee shop. Like, the equipment's reasonable, rent is pretty reasonable, you don't need a ton of employees. So all of these people that are whining, like, go start your own coffee shop if you're dissatisfied with the deal. The reason we have unions is because there were industries that there was a limiting factor on, you know, like coal mining. There was like only a couple companies that mine coal. So we wanted to get freedom and that sort of thing. And that Starbucks is not this. And if you guys, like, instead of bitching about how much you're making at Starbucks, like, open your own coffee shop or learn more. So I actually went in and I said, I wonder what they're currently asking for. So in this town with Redmond, Washington, I think it's a suburb of Seattle or somewhere around there, they earn an average of $19 to $20 an hour, and entry level, so starting wage, $17 to $18 an hour. So they started 17 to 18. Most people make 19 to 20. The workers' requests are as follows. They would like to have their starting pay increased to $31 an hour. They would like to have regular schedules. So if anybody's ever worked retail or service industry, you know the schedules bounce around a lot, right? Somebody calls in or somebody needs a week off, and you've only got a couple of employees. So they wanted a set schedule, and they wanted to be guaranteed at least 20 to 25 hours a week, because when you get over 20 hours a week, it sounds like in this city or state, you will end up getting benefits. The benefits Starbucks offers its full-time employees are essentially the equivalent of $10 an hour in what they get in medical, dental, that kind of thing. So is it true? Like, some employers will keep you under full-time so that you don't get benefits. So what they're striking for, they want $31 an hour and a full benefit package guaranteed for 20 hours a week. Todd, your thoughts?
I'm going to go to Facebook with Ralph's comment. I hate to tell you people at Starbucks, I'd fire all your A's. People are dime a dozen. You can hire anybody. Shoot, they could hire the illegals. Isn't that the Democrat way? Yes, they could undercut wages and hire a bunch of illegals at Starbucks. Jason, when you shared that information with me, if you had asked Todd, what do you think minimum wage is at Starbucks? I'd be like, I don't know. What's the federal minimum wage? I'm going to pay someone to hand me a cup of coffee that amount. $19 an hour, and you're complaining. And I get that life is expensive. You can't really live off 19. These people look young. I imagine they're childless. They could live at home or have roommates here. I think they could get by on 19. I made $30,000 my first year out of college. I thought I was the richest guy alive because I was on my own. It was great. I didn't know how poor I was at the time. I'm young 20s, living it up off $30K a year. I don't know what the math is. I think it's probably comparable. No, you don't deserve $19 an hour as it is. You want $31 an hour? You can, if you're not happy, this just in, Jason, you can develop new skills. You can apply to other jobs. You can start your own business. You can do a lot of things. And if you want to demand more money, adios. Adios. I don't know what to tell you here. And then you throw on the benefits on top of that, and it's like, good Lord. You mean you tell me you're getting $19 an hour and health benefits? And you're going to complain as you hand me my cup of black coffee and demand a 20% tip? I'm out.
And I got to say, too, like their wages, they split their tips. Anybody that's ever gone to a Starbucks, they push tips. So that's $19 an hour plus tips.
Tax-free tips now, thanks to Donald Trump.
Tax-free tips, not a good one. And it's fascinating for anybody that's ever worked retail. I worked retail from the age of 16 to my early 40s. And there's no such thing as a set schedule in retail, generally speaking. Like your schedules are changing all the time based on business needs. These folks are insane. And you know what's funny is if these guys really thought that was feasible, like go open your own coffee shop. I can't imagine. And like I'm trying to get my kids to start their own business. Like Paul Reese is looking at opening a coffee shop with Split Rock Coffee. Like of all the things you need to figure out, you need to get like 6 pieces of equipment, a couple cash registers, and start selling coffee. It is one of the cheapest, lowest barriers for entry to start a business is a coffee shop. I'm just
yeah. Well, I mean, it does highlight you have the producers and the leeches in society here. None of these people ever want to make anything. They just want to be handed everything. And again, I don't know why we have to dispel this, but to your point, Jason, yeah, if you can pay people $31 an hour, wouldn't you and I be like, holy smokes, you mean to tell me I can run a business where I'm able to afford $31 an hour for employees? Like, what's left over for me? Like, I'm going to retire at 40 on a beach. But then, okay, maybe I don't want to start a coffee company, but I deserve $31 an hour. Do these people not think ahead? Like, all right, well, if I'm getting paid $31 an hour and we have X number of customers per hour here, that means we have to charge $20 for a venti latte macchiato thing. Like, the economics just aren't working, folks. At some point, Americans, and they're already rejecting this, they're going to be like, no, I don't want to pay $20 for a coffee so that this communist Antifa member over here can live in a nicer apartment and drive a nicer car. Like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually ran the numbers because, I get kind of fascinated by numbers. The average Starbucks store makes 15% profit before they pay any of the corporate money. So like to support the corporate office, to support all the buyers, to support all the regulation, all the marketing departments in the corporate office. So when you give your share of the store's profits to the corporate office to do all those functions, it's very low. This would actually take the average Starbucks store to unprofitable without even supporting the corporate brand, which would mean you would destroy Starbucks. Like you would bankrupt Starbucks. And then how many people would be out of jobs? It's insane.
Yeah, Merkel Zero brings up a great point. We saw this happen years ago. I feel like McDonald's is always my example. McDonald's workers were like, I don't get paid enough to hand you a hamburger. And so then McDonald's is like, well, now you can order your food on a touch screen. So there goes one job entirely. Yes, now with AI, you could order your coffee on your app. You could go in and touch screen if you want here. You only need one person behind the counter making drinks and handing it to you. Like these people have no idea that they are the most expendable resource, the most expendable employee, because at some point, if it costs me 50 grand to invest in a machine that'll last forever, and I pay you 40 grand a year, I make that money back really fast, and then I never have to pay for you again or deal with these strikes. Yeah, be careful what you wish for, little communist fools.
Well, yeah, and we have unions because there is really a need. The way the workers were treated in the coal mines, not good. Some of the steel plants where your life's at jeopardy. That whining woman talking about how rough they had it. Like, lady, you made a latte. Like, simmer down. All right, I got to be careful, Todd, because I'm getting fired up. We might need to log off the Facebook, the YouTube, head over to the Rumble. Do you want to take us out?
I do. I'm not going to say anything to Zuck here, but Zuck did not like our program today. You got to choose a lane, Facebook. Either you support communism or you don't. If we're here to talk about communism and that's your thing, let us go nuts here. But Facebook didn't like the conversation today. Nonetheless, we had Lori in the chat. We had Catherine in the chat. We had some other folks. We had Ralph in the chat here. We are going to sign off of Facebook now, though. It's time to get spicy. So we're headed over to Rumble, rumble.com. If you get the app on your phone, it is a green play button. Search out Rumble in your store. Operates just like YouTube. YouTube is red. Rumble is green. The big difference, of course, is you can say what you want on Rumble, speak the truth, and not get censored. And as you can see in the chats here, we had Market Zero, we have Fally, we have Dee Dee, we have Francis, we've got Market again here, Fally. We got everyone in the Rumble chat here. Folks, it is a growing community over on Rumble. Jason and I log into this podcast every week, excited to get things off our chest, excited to see one another, but most excited to speak with our Rumble community. Paul is in the chat over at splitrockcoffee.com, promo code top 10. So we are signing off on Facebook. We are signing off on YouTube. The show is just getting started here because, Jason, we got to talk about socialism in New York, socialism in Minneapolis, communism, progressivism, Democrat Party, however you want to fill in the void here with those words here. But we are logging off on the Facebook here. It's been a fast hour. We are still live. We're going to be back on Rumble in 60 seconds. And Jason, to play us out here, who do you want to listen to play us out today?
Can we play the insane one from Minneapolis?
All right.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to New York, but I feel we've been pretty hard on Seattle, and I don't want to offend our Seattle audience.
Yeah, and, bye-bye commie platforms. We'll see you in 60, folks.
Excited to announce that I will be formally bringing a proposal to establish a Democratic Socialist Caucus on the City Council, and that I intend to lead it. And for us to get to work to advance and win a $20 minimum wage, key renter protections like rent control, and a city-owned grocery store.
Rumble only.
Favorite half hour of the week, folks. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Okay, guys, I got to give you a little inside baseball, if that's okay with our Rumble community. So when you do digital marketing, one of the hardest things to do is get people from one platform to another. So you get people on Facebook and saying, hey, download this other app. It's really hard to get them to do. I got to find an app. I got to create a login. I got to find your platform. It's one of the harder things to do. Not a lot of people use Rumble. A lot of our audience does. But it's funny. We stream on Facebook because actually Rumble doesn't pay anything when you stream on Rumble. So unless you subscribe to the channel, which thank you so much. I know we've got some people that give us a few bucks a month as paid subscribers, but Rumble doesn't pay nothing unless you're like Tim Pool or Steven Crowder. Facebook, you actually make a little money on. And most shows, we get like 200-300 people live watching us on Facebook, which is remarkable. They'll see the show. It'll get fed to them. When we pick a topic like this one, like communism is here in America, it was like it peaked out at like 50 people a page, and we stream on 3 pages. And it's like the algorithm will like totally refuse to like share it to them. And, when we pick like more lighthearted things like Democrats are stupid, like it'll get pushed by the algorithm. And then you'll even see people that like find us and watch us regularly. But now I'll go in the comments there later today, and there'll be people like, oh, wow, I never got a notification or whatnot because magically it didn't work. So if you ever wonder why we stream on some of those platforms, huge audience, and we make a little bit of money doing it, but it's getting them over here that's the tricky part. God, did I miss anything?
Yeah, boy, it is a tough cookie, a tough nut to crack over in Facebook. Well, we appreciate you being over on Rumble here. As we continue exploring how communism is here, Jason, I was telling you before the show today, I guess I'll drop it now. I'm a little black-pilled right now. I'm black-pilled on some of the Trump policies. I don't know if we have time to get into all my Trump disappointments necessarily. Had to win. Getting good things done, no doubt about that here. But while Trump has been president, we just witnessed a wave of communist victories here. You got this chick from Minneapolis you just saw on the way out of the Facebook program. You got the Seattle mayor. You got Mamdani in New York. Virginia and New Jersey are blue states, so the fact that they elected a blue governor, Democratic governor, not overly shocking, but also like Do we want to go back to that? Like, you people are still on the fence of like, do I vote Democrat or Republican? And here's what the Democrats stand for. It's all evil and communist. So half this country, I'm black-pilled because half this country will never wake up. We had the comment on Facebook that said like, yeah, they're going to learn the hard way by voting communism. It's like, no, we're all going to learn the hard way what communism is, because half these people, as long as they're allowed to vote, are going to keep shoving it down our throats. So I'm a little black-pilled, Jason, because we have a tough road ahead of us.
Yeah, I got to say, I wanted to read Tony's comment on Facebook, but Facebook wouldn't have liked it. At 82 years old, would never have bet that I would see what's going on with Muslims, commies, Marxists, scum senators, and scum congressmen in our government. What has to be done, but the cowards running things will not tell us the truth, how to stop the riots. Evil people wrong among us, they must be killed to send the message. We'll no longer deal with these scum bastards in our country. I so want to get him over in the Rumble community, because if we said any of those things on Facebook, they would nuke us. But I got to say, I don't know why Donald Trump is putting up with the bullshit Antifa's doing with this bullshit communist stuff and just not lining them up, arresting them. Like how did shoot the Nazis become a thing, but not shoot the commies? Like, come on. And this woman, just to put this in perspective, we showed the insane Seattle mayor. She's talking about public ownership of things and providing food to people. This woman is on the Minneapolis City Council, and she is starting, and see what they do. Like, oh, it's the Democrat socialist, but we're going to own housing and we're going to provide food. Like, that's communism. Are you? And people are voting for this. And what they're doing is they're getting smart, intelligent people that aren't idiots. They are flooding it with these insane white liberals who think this is a good idea, and foreigners from socialist communist countries that have already collapsed, and they're bringing them over here so that they support this nonsense. And you get some liberal like, oh, that sounds really good. Yeah, communism. Oh, God, I'm so mad. So mad.
I'm so mad. I want to get to Market Zero's question here. I'm probably rhetorical. I think we all understand the answer to this. Why is it a lot of the ones that push this communist ideas are women? I think it goes to female nature, Jason. They have this urge to mother. And it's interesting if you look at the stats here about like married women, how they vote versus single women, how they vote. Huge divide here. Once you are married, you become more conservative because you're mothering your own child and care about your own child. Whereas these cat ladies here, these lonely, miserable HR cat ladies out there, they still have a biological urge to mother and control, except they don't have kids or families or husbands to control and micromanage and nag. So they decide, you know what? The surrogate for that child and husband and family is going to be society. So women, just in their nature here, operating all in emotion. Sounds great to house the homeless. Sounds great to give kids summer programming. Sounds great to give everyone the right to food. But they don't think through logically what that entails or the outcomes it produces, because they don't care about outcomes. They just care how it sounds and feels, and they get the validation from their neighbor. Hey, you support free housing for the homeless? You are a wonderful human being. Will it work? No, but don't think about that. It sounds great, and you're a good person for thinking about it here. But again, it's the idea of mothering society. You can ignore having kids. You can say, I don't need no man. And I love the irony, Jason, when these young women are like, I don't need no man. I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm going to vote for a big government instead to manage my life instead. That'll stick it to the man. But yes, that is my answer to Market Zero there. A couple of things.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you believe in standard male female things, like females come up with the great idea, the the good thing, and then the male figures out how to get things done. And in society, communism, the only reason socialism always becomes communism is that's the only way it could work, is with the strong central government that is directing people what to do, very low freedom, but you give up all the freedom that you get in capitalism. So yeah, it's crazy. It is the mothering society.
Yeah. And Jason, I can't be stressed enough here. This battle is huge because there is nowhere else to go. If I'm Ilhan Omar in Somalia and my dad wants to genocide my fellow countrymen, that's okay. I'll flee Somalia and claim political persecution when they try to enact retribution on me. I'll just go to England and then I'll go to the United States. I have a safe haven, and then I'll still hate this country. But we as Americans don't have that. When America falls, there's nowhere else to go.
That is correct. Kind of terrifying. Should we play some New York stuff just because it's
we held off for a long time, but all right, folks, here is Zoran Mamdani promising to make New York a utopia. It'll be a utopia, Jason.
On day one, we will expand the city's special enforcement programs, doubling fines for hazardous violations and tripling them for conditions that are immediately dangerous. And
Do you think fines would include judges that release repeat violent offenders for creating dangerous situations, Jason?
I wish. He's only talking about housing right now.
Shoot.
when a really bad landlord, like this guy, refuses to fix it, the city's going to step in, make the repairs, and send them the bill. If that doesn't work...
All right, Jason. We can't get through any of these clips without commentary. New York City is famous for its rent controls and its rent freezes. You as a landlord might have repairs that are in need, but unfortunately you have a tenant that's been living there for the last 50 years paying you $400 a month in a property that's probably worth thousands at this point. So as a landlord, you're a little strapped for cash because your tenants are not paying you market value for that space. You're also wondering, why am I going to put money into my building when I have no opportunity to make that money back and find a tenant willing to pay me more since it is now a nicer place? So you run into a few market problems, Jason, with these rent prices. And now Mamdani says, you know what? I'm going to make you fix it. I'm going to send you the bill, and good luck ever recouping the money here.
Yeah, I got to say, one of my best friends, Gary, and I bought property after the crash, single family homes, and it was fascinating. We locked in 25-year mortgages on them. And our goal was we want to rent below market. So like renting a house at that point, you were looking at like $1,700 a month was on the low end. We actually rented for like $1,400 because our mortgages were so cheap, or $1,200, I think. And the mortgages were cheap. And we're like, we're just going to have real honest discussions with the tenants. Like, hey, you know, we make X amount a month. We have set money aside for repairs. When we have extra money, we're going to invest it to make your house nicer. And we had one tenant live there 10 years. And in the time we were there, we put like new floors in the kitchen and got some new appliances and things. Tried to be great landlords. Now we've had to raise prices because property taxes have gone up so much in the town. And that's the only reason we've had to raise rent. But we make so little money on them now. Like this year, we'll actually break even or lose a little money because we had just a couple like repairs. You can't set any money aside. Rent control, I can't even imagine owning a property in a rent controlled scenario, because if the city's going to raise taxes, if buildings get older and they just need repairs, like rent control is insane. But Mandami answers the question, Todd. Let's finish the clip.
Mm-hmm.
The city's taking over the building. We're putting the worst landlords out of business.
Hey, hang on, let's play this again.
Putting the worst on day one, we will expand. We're putting the worst landlords out of business.
Oh, wait, I didn't go far enough.
If that doesn't work, the city's taking over the building. We're putting the worst landlords out of business. Starting on day...
Jason's having the play stop feature.
Yeah, did you guys hear that? So you're going to create a scenario where a landlord could not possibly profitably run a business, and you're going to impose whatever repairs on the landlords. And then when they can't afford the repairs, the city is going to own the property. That sounds like communism, doesn't it, Todd?
It sounds like, hear me out on this, Jason. Sounds like the solution to his problem of fixes not happening because of evil, greedy landlords. I'm just trying to imagine a scenario where the government is involved. You know, the efficient, cost-effective, money-minding government comes in and says, okay, we have all these repairs and the tenants are paying us this. I'm trying to do the balance sheet on this one, Jason. I just don't know if government's going to be responsive to these tenants' needs either.
It's funny you say that. You made the point with the grocery stores, and it was very smart. Like, I worked in retail for major retailers based out of Minnesota. Draw your own conclusions. And you spent a ton of money, like working on efficiencies, effectiveness. You tracked everything. And then when I think about them trying, like the government trying to run a grocery store, and even running, like if you're a Target or Walmart or whatever grocery store, Kroger or whatnot, you are running on like a 10% margin, running it bare bones, lean and mean, efficiency, effectiveness. And I walk into the DMV and I think like, oh man, you guys are going to try to run a grocery store. I just laugh. And like the government trying to run property, oh my God. And this isn't even them hiding it. He's just coming out saying, yeah, if nobody can do it, like we're just do it ourselves in the city. I don't even.
Yeah, I can't believe I have to say this. Like, if they want things to be better, how do we not all realize that giving incentives to landlords, developers, owners, property owners, giving them the means and the motivation to accomplish this here, like this won't end well. Why are we saying this, Jason? This will not end well.
Should we play that other Mondami clip?
Toward the Vienna model, we'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of
community ownership. The buzzword is out now, folks. You heard Seattle's mayor use the word community. Mamdani is using the word community. As Jason has stressed, it is government. Government will own all of this. Jason, do you think, by the way, because government doesn't care about you, wouldn't it be fascinating to watch government raise rent prices because they have to cover the bill once they take over?
Yes.
Like
government's going to take over and be like, nobody's paying us enough. We need to raise taxes. Oh my God.
First refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale. And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone. We won't decommodify housing overnight, but we know what we have to do.
It's fascinating. I mean, suburban white liberal voters are shielded from this. They have no idea. But who do they think lives in these buildings? If you require government housing, cheap government urban housing, who do they think is that kind of person? And what happens when you put a bunch of them together? I feel like we've seen this in Section 8 already. I think we've seen California's disastrous homeless initiatives. The more you spend, the more you get. Who do they think will populate these buildings, and what do they think will happen to them within a very short time?
Well, and it's so... I'm sorry, like today's show is just probably a therapy session for me because I just need to scream at how freaking stupid it is. So thank everybody. Like, send me your bill for listening to this as my therapist. Like, who on and then he's gonna pull out Vienna. Oh, we're gonna do the Vienna model. Yeah, Vienna's falling apart. Vienna was a singular ethno state that basically had Christians in it. And now they're flooding with all these different people. And in Vienna, you also had a culture built where if you didn't like work hard and produce, you were shunned. Like if you were a slug in Vienna, you were like shit upon. You were like the guy at work who is the underperformer. Like that was their culture, their society. And now they are falling apart because they got too many people that don't want to work. And it is insane. And like Francis says, he's so happy. Like that's why these idiots fall for it. You got this great communist like, we're gonna have free everything. You're gonna get a unicorn and a pony, and we're gonna make sure you have food, and not just food. We're not talking government cheese. You're gonna get like steak and lobster. It's gonna be amazing. You're gonna get everything but a job. You're gonna get everything but a job. Because you don't need a job. You'll have so much free time. You can do some busy work for 20 hours a week, and like that'll be fine.
I got to say this, Jason, because we haven't touched on it yet here. There is only one person that is worse than the face you see there, the smiling, naive, and the people in New York. It's the people that leave New York. There's a special place in hell for the people that leave New York and then go vote Democrat in their new residence. If you recognize New York is too awful to live in, and you're going to go somewhere else with your same voting practices and value system and turn a Florida or Texas or Tennessee or local municipality blue, like I said, there is a special place in hell for you for just being so ignorant and stupid. You should not be allowed to vote if you leave from one of these places. I think there needs to be a moratorium for like 5 years to vet you. But once you do, we should check your ballot. And if it marks Democrat after just leaving Democrat hellholes, I don't know, prison for this lifetime and hell for the rest of it. Like, I can't wrap my head around fleeing Democrat-run places. Like you see Californians going to like Idaho and Montana and Utah, and they're like, I'm going to vote Democrat because I'm still a good person. It's like we need a big wall. We just need a big wall.
Yeah, and I can't believe. I mean, we've gone through 3 or 4 different political figures, and it's straight up communism. Like, oh yeah, they're going to own the grocery stores. They're going to own the houses. There's going to be public transit, so you won't own a car. Like you're coming up with a plan for everything but the job and who's going to pay for it. And you know who's going to pay for it is people like us. People who actually get off their ass, go to work, produce things for society. I mean, that stupid Starbucks girl, like, I can't even. Should we talk crime, though? Because, like, Mark was talking about all the cops quitting January 1st in New York City. We have that video of the woman whose son, like, this just befuddled me.
All right. Let me say, I don't know how much she says related to. I'll set up the video really fast here. You have the usual suspect, future astronauts and scholars, breaking into an old man's home, and he does what any homeowner should do and ought to be able to do. He guns him down. He kills him on the spot because he's defending his castle. And here's mom. He was a good boy, Jason. He was a good boy. Here's mom mad at him for killing her future astronaut son.
Son only tried to rob you, and you took his life. That was an abuse of force, Channing. You must pay for this.
A military veteran has been charged with murder after shooting and killing 3 teenagers who broke into his home. The parents of the teens are now demanding that the court sentence the veteran to death. According to police in Georgia, the 3 masked teens showed up at the veteran's house around 3 p.m. They kicked in the front door and entered the home to rob it, unaware that the homeowner was a former soldier. The veteran opened fire as soon as they entered. One of the teens fired back, triggering a violent shootout. A neighbor, startled by the gunfire, immediately called 911. When officers arrived, they found all 3 teens shot multiple times in the head and chest. Paramedics pronounced all 3 dead at the scene. Later, family members confirmed that among the dead were 2 brothers, ages 15 and 16. After the autopsy report revealed that a total of 28 bullets had been recovered from the teens' bodies, their parents were furious, calling the homeowner's actions beyond excessive. They insisted the shooting was brutal and demanded that prosecutors charge the veteran with murder and seek the death penalty. The homeowner, however, maintains that he acted in self-defense and that his life was in immediate danger. Under Georgia's self-defense and stand your ground laws, authorities determined that his actions fell within the bounds of lawful self-defense. This veteran once fought to defend his country. Now alone in his own home, he fought to defend himself. Do you think this was justified self-defense, or did he go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments.
I gotta say, I want the answer to be why'd you shoot him 28 times? That's all the bullets I had.
Yep.
I mean, think of this. These 3 young men, 3 in the afternoon, you saw them show up at his house, smash their way into his house. I would say these 3 young men, had they not been killed by this man, they should have been publicly hung within 24 hours. Like, that's how you stop crime. There is no question. There's no justification. If somebody can smash in your front door and try to threaten you and your family, if this man wouldn't have shot them dead, I would have liked them to drag them outside into the street and hang them right there. That's how we stop crime. As it is, those kids, had they not been murdered, according to the word they use, had they not been rightfully killed, they would have probably served a few months in jail and been out with a slap on the wrist. We cannot tolerate this as in a society. Yeah, empty the clip. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it is fascinating that they wanted him charged and sentenced to death because it was a brutal experience. Brutal because they were, so what if he got off a cliff and hit a few shoulders and legs and, they were non-life threatening injuries, would that be okay? She was like, well, he was fine. He was justified shooting back at them because they broke into his house. But then it became brutal and excessive when a bullet hit their heads and they died. Like, what is the logic here? This is like the Joe Biden shoot them in the leg sort of nonsense. Yeah, if you're a cop, just shoot the bad guy in the leg, and he might try to kill you still, but that's okay. Non-lethal response is always justified. I don't know what she wants out of this. And how are we not just agreeing, like, maybe you should have raised your sons not to commit burglaries? Like, and then I thought, Jason, too, in Minnesota, I think this man would have been found guilty. Minnesota law says you have a duty to retreat. not necessarily stand your ground, but a duty to retreat. I don't know if Minnesota is even a castle state, castle doctrine state. You could have a guy bust into your home, and if your first instinct and impulse is not running away from the threat, but rather confronting the threat, that's not allowed.
Yeah, actually, Wrong Think fan, like, shout out, check out your partner Will's recent post about Signature change directions. Yeah, it's funny. So a little inside baseball. Will and I'll kind of flush out topics, and he'll have some ideas like what do we write about, and then he'll send me the rough draft because sometimes he gets so passionate, like he kind of wanders. And I'm not a great writer, but I'm kind of an average intelligence guy, so if I can understand it, it's good. And yeah, Will talked about was it the one coming out today, or where it was talking about we need to bring back public hangings?
Yeah.
And it's like in early America, it was like, are you a horse thief? Yes. You stole somebody's horses? Yep. And they hung him on the spot. And he did some looking into it in Europe. They actually did that for like 200 years in Europe, like the 15, 16, 1700s. And then people are like, well, maybe we're being a little too harsh by hanging the horse thieves. And then so they quit hanging horse thieves. And it stayed out for like 50 or 100 years, people stealing horses. And they were trying to figure out, is it because people are more apt to act criminally, like it's genetic, or is it people are just afraid of being hung? And there was interesting research on both pieces. Like, is it nature or nurture? But I will say, like, these people that expect to get things for free, like the line between theft and getting free stuff is pretty narrow. And if you see like, oh, I'm not getting enough free stuff, so I'm just going to steal. This is how close we are to society, like collapsing. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I like Dee Dee's comment. We had a couple saying, Dee Dee's saying, charge the parents here. Jason, there's been a couple episodes. It's always a white kid, by the way. When like a white kid takes his parents' gun and shoots up a school, the parents have been charged in that crime, even though they had nothing to do with it. But the precedent has been set. I don't know if Dee Dee's referencing those cases or not. But yeah, apparently now as a parent, where did the guns come from? What kind of household were they living in? What kind of a role did the parent play? Like that precedent's been set. And I hate that precedent, by the way. But since it's out there, again, this is when it comes to Donald Trump. How should he respond to the left? You play by the rules that the other side established. So if we're going to go after white parents when their white kids do something awful, then charge every black parent too.
Right. And that's the difficulty that we run into in society, where it comes down to Donald Trump and what he's doing. And I think Donald Trump is doing a bang up job. I think he will go down as the most effective president of my lifetime. I, however, am horribly disappointed with how far the needle's moved, because we need 30 million illegals deported. We need NGO shut down. We need people arrested. And you're starting to see some movement, like Swalwell is getting charged. You got Schiff getting charged. You have some of this stuff happening. If Donald Trump doesn't move the needle far enough, you are going to see a collapse in 2026 and 2028. And why do I say that? Right now, especially the younger generation, conservative young people, more people are becoming more and more conservative. And I've been talking about this on our podcast and on Wayne's podcast, and I don't think people are seeing it. There are very disillusioned young people, and they're looking at the system. They're looking at buying their first house. Like Jackson, who writes for us, he just bought his first house. It was like $400,000, and it wasn't even that nice of a house. It's not like he bought a mansion on a hill. And you see all this stuff out there. They're paying 13% for us to retire. So your kids and grandkids are going to be paying your Social Security. 13% of their income is going to be paying for us. And I know the answer is, well, we paid for our grandparents, but I'm just saying the kids aren't right now. Like, it's hard for them. They see this, like, these are kids their age. And if you're just a normal functioning member of society, like, you want these guys dragged out in the street and shot. Like, you're okay with that, right? You don't want them like released and tried 25 times before they're actually held accountable. That's normal people. And especially in the young people, Donald Trump is not doing enough to move the needle. And if we don't Yeah, and actually, Dee Dee, really Congress is causing the dissatisfaction. It is. And, you know, I say the establishment Republican Party is the enemy. The people stopping Donald Trump, Democrats are not helping him, but the Republican Party, like Donald Trump is the only one trying to move the needle on this stuff. And the Republican Party is dead, folks. It's going to be a slaughter in 2026 and potentially a slaughter in 2028 unless we can move the needle. Todd, I know you were black-pilled, so I'll let you.
I'm very black-pilled. I mean, I agree with your assessment. If I had to put money on it today, I'd say Democrats win the midterms. They take back the Senate and the House. 2028 is a coin flip for me right now, but all the energy Trump had going into 2024 and all the promises that were made, for my money, nothing's been delivered that's material. Like, yeah, every president's had deportations before, so Trump deporting people. I know there's more noise about it, but it's not like these numbers are extreme. We voted for every illegal to be deported. We voted for criminals to be held accountable and sent to prison. Officials in D.C., politicians. We want media outlets shut down. Like, we're radicalized, and Donald Trump's just delivering a milquetoast presidency right now. So where's the enthusiasm going to come from? Like, why am I going to go vote? I will vote Republican. What else am I going to do? But I understand people that don't. They're just like, what is it going to do for me? Like, I'm going to vote for some coward, spineless sellout in D.C. so they can campaign again and get a nice little cushy lifestyle and do nothing for me. They're not going to codify a single Trump executive order. Not one. What's the point? So I get it. Yeah, 26 is, I think it's gone, Jason. I don't see this changing in the next year. So I think 26 is lost. Then Trump's going to get impeached, and then we're going to deal with the same thing we did in his first administration. And unless something drastic changes, but I don't think it will, I'm with you right now. I'm very black-pilled.
And when we say something change, like, I'm not putting this on Donald Trump. Like, Todd and I love Donald Trump, love his policies. We want him to do. He can't do it alone. The Republican Party has to unite behind Donald Trump. And when we get slaughtered in 2026, which I think we will, even if we get redistricting, if we don't get voter security too, we're going to get slaughtered. Republicans are going to get slaughtered in 2026. It's going to derail the MAGA movement. And they're going to say, oh, see, it was a rejection of Donald Trump. It wasn't. It was a rejection of these feckless Republicans that aren't doing anything. And I saw this. We should probably end on this AOC video. And I want to play this. And you're going to see it and you're going to think they're crazy.
I want to say this right now.
Yeah.
I fully welcome Trump voters into our coalition. And I know that sounds crazy to some people, but just hear me out. I cannot tell you, it just happened to me like 2 weeks ago. I can't tell you how many times someone has pulled me aside and said either I was once a big Trump voter and a Trump supporter and I watched Fox News every day, but then I started to kind of expand my world and where I got information. And now I've learned and now I've changed and I'm with you and I learn from you. Or people who meet me who are really big Republicans now, and they are shocked when they meet me because they're like, you are nothing like I was told you are.
I'm just going to say this has never happened, Jason. These are fake stories. We'll go with the narrative. We'll talk about what she's saying, but I'm just going to call her out and say this has never happened.
And you start to see the cogs turning, that maybe everything that they had been told from this one channel or this one ecosystem isn't the whole truth. And it is enough to spark a curiosity that makes people want to go down a longer journey.
I will say, I think Todd's right, and I think the audience is right. I will take things that never happened for $5,000. But here's the point I want to make, especially, you know, it's our hardcore Rumble audience, and I keep trying to point this out. I looked Qualtis Insights that we work with through Making Web that does polling. The polling data for the number of people that voted for Trump and Mondavi in New York should scare you. There was a large percentage of people, the people that voted for Donald Trump to destroy the system, are moving to Mundabi to destroy the system. And I think one thing we're going to see is, like Todd was describing, like, are you going to vote for AOC who's going to destroy the system? Or are you going to vote for some feckless John Thune Republican who is going to more slowly crash the car? And I think this is the risk. Like, I think there are some Trump people that vote that will, like, they know the system's broke and they know the Republican Party, other than Donald Trump, is not going to fix it. So they are going to go with anybody who's actually going to fix it. You know, so when you see these stats about, oh, Donald Trump's using the support of the youth, it is not because of Donald Trump. It is because the House and Senate and Department of Justice and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are not doing what they elected him to do. The young people want radical change, and they are not going to support these dickless Republicans. They are going to support the communists that destroy the system. That's my fear.
That is my fear. It is still wild for me to wrap my head around the fact that you would go from America first to anti-America illegal immigrant communism. But to each their own. And I understand the motivation, Jason. I'm with you on that. Burned out by Trump, feeling let down by Trump. I mean, Republicans are worse than Trump, so let's try the other guy. Like, maybe this is better because right now it's not working. So I understand the sentiment there. Kind of like how Bernie and Trump had a lot of overlap in 2016 to take down Hillary, when a lot of Bernie Sanders voters, supporters got destroyed because Hillary cheated in 2016. They're like, well, fuck it, I'm going to vote for Trump instead. But wild to me, absolutely wild to me. It is interesting, too, that AOC now wants to court Nazis and fascists to the party, though. Yesterday, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, it's ICE, Gestapo. But please come over to my side. So she's got to work that out. Like, are we still Nazis and fascists here? Or are we, because of this communist line of, like, educate yourself, learn more, expand your worldview? Now you're going to see how you were wrong. Like, that is dangerous Marxism right there. That is the struggle session in a nutshell. Go educate yourself. Just hate yourself a little bit more to see how communism is actually good for you. I don't know. But my one thing with Trump, Jason, here's why I'm black-pilled. I want Trump to ignore every judge, every judicial ruling, every rogue activist pretending to be a judge. Trump could ignore them. He could message the American people and say, this is not how it's supposed to work. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Like, Trump could start ignoring people, act like an authoritarian a little bit more. I would support that more than what he's doing right now. He's like, well, some judge in Virginia told me I can't do it, so I guess I'm not going to do it. Like, no, I'm done playing those games. Trump needs to just do it. Did that ever stop Biden? Does it ever stop Democrats? Will it in the future? Of course not. Trump needs to just ignore all of these judges and do what he wants to do. And if Congress isn't going to help, then he should just go do it too. That's where I'm at this point, and that's why I'm black-pilled on Trump as well. Because, yeah, does the system constrain him with checks and balances? Yes. But that's also not going to work anymore.
Well, and I guess kind of where I land on it, the only way we save ourselves is if the Donald Trump of the fever dreams on the left really comes to fruition. If the authoritarian, ignore the courts, ignore these stupid things actually happens, that is the only way you're going to deport 30 million people. And like, the left has given the blueprint, the fever dream of what we need Trump's presidency to be. I mean, like the Maryland man. How long have we been talking about this clown? He's still in America.
Yeah.
Like, think of that. We've covered him in like 5-6 different times, wrote a bunch of articles. He's still in America. He has not yet been removed from this country. You know, there's an order in ICE. All the people that ICE detained in Chicago, unless something's come out in the last couple hours, there is a federal judge ordering all 600 people to be released from custody.
And Trump's going to. I guarantee Trump was going to release all of them and not fight it. He should just say, screw you.
Yeah. And actually, James has had a great comment. Back to the communism, the people are showing it simple. Show them love and they will come. Even stupid, get people to follow them because of love. Yeah, what I'm saying is it's harder for us older conservatives to understand. These young kids, like, they're feeling lost. Like, they didn't grow up with church. They grew up in public institutions. A lot of them have been scarred by COVID. Their job prospects suck because it's a fucking H-1B visa or a DEI hire. And like, it's difficult. And you get the pretty socialists saying, how about just free housing and stuff? They're going to go. And they're going to go because you got Lindsey Graham and you got Mike Johnson and you got all these Republicans that aren't going to do nothing. And these young people are like, I'm 25, 30 years old. There is not there's literally like 10 or 15 Republican politicians other than Donald Trump that maybe they could look up to or aspire to, or they really feels looking out for their best interest. And that's why, like, the Republican Party is dead. It just is. If they don't embrace a full MAGA and deal with that outcome and Donald Trump goes ham, they're done. They're over. It's crazy.
Yeah, I had a different take on James's comment here. James, I always feel like I'm picking you. That's not the case. I appreciate you watching and commenting all the time here. They show them love, but it's not a real love. A communist saying, hey, I'm going to take care of you and give you a house and a grocery store and this nice playground for your kids to go outside with abandon, as the Seattle mayor said. Like, these are all lies. Communism will not work. I mean, they're preying on stupid people. You wrote that even stupid people get people to follow them because of love. Again, this is not real love. And it also makes the case why voting is way too easy. Yeah, we talk about the things Trump could do. Voter ID isn't even a start. And Jason, I've said this before, but this is the hill I will die on. If I'm ever elected into an office, I will propose legislation on day one restricting who gets to vote. Because even by James's own admission, we have stupid people out there blindly following these lies that aren't true. I don't need stupid people making decisions for me. I don't need people that drain the system to vote to drain more resources from the system here. Entirely over it. I understand why you are upset at Trump. I simply can't cross the bridge, though, and be like, well, now I will support communism because America First isn't matching up to my expectations. Like, I can't.
Well, and I think, and it's funny, Francis said a very wise thing here. I wish DJT would do his thing and mow everybody down. That's what I think we need to do. And I've said it. It's funny. I'll say it on Wayne's podcast and he'll look at me. I'll be like, I don't care what Donald Trump does. We are at a precipice where if we don't fundamentally move the needle on stuff, I mean, huge. If we don't spike the football, all the energy, the America First energy Donald Trump has built up, and it might not be people supporting AOC, but they're not going to turn out to vote for Republican. Like, if you look at Virginia and New Jersey, they just didn't go vote for these guys. Like, it wasn't just Democrats. It was just Republicans that said, screw it. Why bother? They're not going to do anything anyways. Mm-hmm. And that apathy by not implementing the Trump agenda is what is the biggest risk to the Republicans. In the midterm, it's not like people are going to rebuke Trump's agenda. It's like, why are we going to go out of our way to support a Republican candidate? Because they're not going to implement Trump's agenda. Like, why bother? It's crazy.
All right. With that being said, Jason, we are running long today.
Oh, yeah. I
think our audience wants to start their weekend.
Yeah. All right, Todd. I'll let you wind us out. But folks, thanks for tuning in. We love you guys.
I just want to say thanks too. This was an hour 48 we went today, Jason. This might be a record for us, but we had so much to get off our chest. It felt like it went by really fast. They all feel like they go fast here, but I just want to say James was hopping in the chat. Francis was in there. Dee Dee. We had Fally earlier here. Francis. We had Kagan Girl. We had Paul. We had Market. Wrong Think. Like, Jason, we had the whole family here today. I don't want to say family. That's very communist. We had the whole crew here today. Just want to give a special thanks again to everybody for joining the show here. It is always a pleasure just to get up with you guys on Friday, vent a little bit, hear your vents, listen to Jason's rants. I got rants all the time here. What a fun Friday we always have, Jason.
I love it. Everybody have a good weekend. We'll see y'all. I'll see you Monday, probably in the Wayne Dupree. Todd, when are you going to start doing your show again?
I got to get back doing that, Jason, here. Yeah, we've had some daycare, family stuff. So we'll get back in it. I think once the snow is on the ground, we'll get back into it.
Sounds like a plan. Hey, just to know, Wayne's going to take a little time off this fall. So if we want to do a couple more days a week.
Ooh.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Have a good weekend, folks.